You have found yourself on Locked On Bulls. I'm CEO Haize. That's Pat the Designer. On today's episode, we will be discussing Lonzo Ball reportedly being the next Bull to return. We'll also be talking about have the heavy minutes that DeMar DeRozan has played over the course of the season affected the way that he's been playing lately, and previewing the upcoming game against the Utah Jazz. All that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, family? Well, Pat, with the drink, I see you, brother. This is
just a little something smooth, brother. Just a little something smooth. You know what I'm saying?
You have found yourself on Locked On Bulls, a member of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we got some topics for you guys today. First, we're going to get into talking about an update on Lonzo Ball. Pat, Lonzo Ball is reportedly the next Bull to return. He has some hurdles to get over. What does that say to you when you hear that?
I think we're still in that question mark stage with him, right? Like, he's still got to get to the point. He's doing more lateral now, but he's still got some of those, as reported, those final tests he's got to get through to get him to the point where he's ready to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the parts where it's like, okay, don't rush it, right? Like, I'm kind of getting to the point now where I'm like, listen, if you're not 100% healthy, giving yourself the best opportunity going into these playoffs, it's not going to mean anything to you anyway, because you run the risk of getting walked out of here anyway.
Yeah.
Get healthy. Get right. Don't rush these guys back for this playoff run. Don't rush these guys back just to say we got through a round, and it does longer term damage. For me, I'm excited to hear that Lonzo's back, but I feel like we've been hearing that Lonzo was on the way, like legitimately one of KC's tweets from 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago was like, he's running straight, he's not doing lateral. And then like a week ago, he's running straight, he's not doing lateral. And it's like, that doesn't sound like progress to me. So I'm just kind of like, I'm excited if Lonzo's able to come back. I wouldn't mind if you brought him back and you started him on the bench just to kind of work him back into that. I wouldn't mind if you take your time with these guys coming back, because for you to win this, right? Like we saw when this drops, it'll be last night, but we saw tonight the class of the Eastern Conference go ham in Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and those boys down in Brooklyn. Like, you're going to need to be 100% healthy if you have a serious chance of making this run. Even with Zach LaVine, right? The question has come up about shutting Zach LaVine down. Like, you're going to have to be so healthy going into this playoff run to make it competitive past the first round that I really want to see Lonzo just ease his way back into this, man. I don't need you so that we can prove that we can beat Eastern Conference team that's at the top of the East in the middle of February or March. Now we in. Got to get the month right. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need you to prove that to me. Prove it to me in the playoffs. You want to show me that you can beat Joel Embiid? Beat Joel Embiid in the playoffs. That's where I want to see it.
I do want to talk about the Kyrie thing just because you brought it up. He did drop 60, and he probably came in tonight and said, hey, we're facing the Magic. I got to go back home. I got to recharge my crystals and organize my Obi-Wan Kenobi cave. So we got to get up out of here. Now, he did do it against the Orlando Magic, one of the worst teams in the East. But what I will say, though, is that's how you put away an inferior opponent. And it would be nice to see the Bulls do that once at some point in this season. But that being aside, right? you hit on everything that needs to be hit on. Is that, it's not just about now. And I think Bulls fans are so focused over now it's become seeding. Like, it's funny how the different stages over the course of the season of obsessions of Bulls fans. First, it was Jeremy Grant, right? Yeah. And then it was okay, who we're going to trade? We have to get a big. Then it became about Sabonis or Miles Turner, more specifically Miles Turner. And then it was Moses Brown. Like, all these different obsessions. Now it's like, oh, but we have to win this year. The 3-year window. If I see another Bulls fan talk about this imaginary 3-year window that it does not exist, I'm going to get frustrated. But with that being said, like, Bulls fans are going to hear us talk about this and say, oh, but we need to be third in the East. Do you really want to be sixth? I don't care about seeding. I care about this team being healthy, not just for this season, but for future. Like this is what I keep saying on my show. This is not the end of the road. This is not the final season of the NBA. The NBA isn't going to shut everything down at the end of the season and be like, hey, wrapped it up. We came what we did to do. We're getting up out of here. So because of that, you do have to protect these players. And I don't want to rush them back. Yes, I want to see my team be more competitive. Yes, I want to see my team go on a deep playoff run. But you know what I want more than that? I want to see those things 2, 3, 4 years down the road as well. So if you need to rush players, if you need to not rush them back, if you need to let them come along on a slower pace, do that. It's okay. I know Bulls fans, we don't like to hear it, right? And I don't want to separate myself from us because I'm into this too. We don't like to hear it. But guess what? This isn't the last season. It's okay if this, no matter how this season goes, it's okay. It's okay. But go ahead, Pat.
I think I'm not going to say no matter how the season goes. Right? I'll push back on you a little bit with that, right? Because the Bulls have set the expectations for us. AK has set the expectations for us. You went out, you spent money, you got yourself a team that could be a number one option team in this playoffs. Like they could be a team that is a threat. And we've seen them when 100% healthy be a team that is a threat. Even though a horrible loss to Sacramento, I'm not going to let that one loss let me think that the Bulls can't be a threat, because go look at the Bulls going all the way back to Jordan. For some reason, we never beat Sacramento. Like, we always lose to them. I don't get it. Like, the fact that did we beat them we beat them the first time we played them this year. Like, I was excited because I was like, we finally beat Sacramento. Like, we rarely beat these mugs in my time as being a Bulls fan. So, like, I'm not letting one loss to Sacramento make my mind up about this team. But the thing that I will say is the Bulls have set the standard for what Bulls fans should expect. And Bulls fans should expect more out of their team. I'm not going to say, like, if we get a first round exit, guess what? That was a disappointing season.
Now, I push back on you on that. I'm gonna let you finish.
We're in a better spot, right? Like compared to last season, yes. Like any Bulls fan that's like, if you're not winning, I'd rather tank. You're an idiot. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to like talk trash to you, but that's, y'all remember what tanking was like? That's horrible.
They couldn't even tank right.
They couldn't.
You remember when we were trying to tank and we won like 4 out of the last 5 games one season? Like, they couldn't even tank right.
That one highlight of Jim Boylan like going Super Saiyan for some reason on the front. Like, nobody needed that. But it to me, it's about, like, I can see the growth. I can appreciate the growth. I'm enjoying the season. I have enjoyed my basketball season here, but the Bulls have set the standard on where we think they should land. They set the standard on, hey, listen, we're a better team than y'all expect. We punched a lot of these teams in the mouth. We've come out here and we've been the aggressor. And now that teams are being the aggressor back, the Bulls really have gotten a little staggered from it. But the reason they're getting punched in the mouth like this is because they came out punching people in the mouth. Now it's about, can you take the hit? Can you move on? Can you keep going forward? And I think that a competitive second round should be an expectation. Earlier in the season, I was like, listen, y'all have set the standard for Eastern Conference Finals. But now I feel like we've come back a little bit to earth. The other teams are playing a little harder. To me, a competitive second round should be the measuring point for this Bulls team at this point.
See, and the point that I want to fight back on, and this is not to say my opinion holds more weight than anybody else's, is that if this team does end up being a first round exit, I don't find that disappointing. Yeah, it sucks, right? I wanted more from this team, and I think this team can do more.
Yeah.
But this season, coming into this, not really many people even expected us to be as good as what we were. And this season was always for me to set the foundation on what a championship team can be built upon. We didn't have a foundation.
Yeah.
So that's what this was, laying the groundwork and letting that dry, letting that be firm so you can re-sign Zach LaVine and also show the East, hey, we're going to do what it takes to be competitive. Now, it may not be successful in this first season, right? I'm not saying we should at all say, hey, first round exit, we did our thing. No, it's disappointing because this team has showed that they can fight well above their weight.
Yeah.
But for me, I wouldn't be disappointed by it. It would suck. I would be on here going off after it happens. But in the grand scheme of things, keep in mind, most of the bench players that we came in the season starting with haven't given us jack crap, right? Troy Brown Jr. Tony Bradley got that contract, has not been crap for us. Troy Brown Jr. has been crappy as well. Kobe's been playing. They almost got me.
Takes you there.
Almost got me. We got a rookie point guard starting, a second-round pick rookie point guard starting for us. He's probably going to end the season starting about half the games over the course of the season.
Yeah.
All those things being factors in it. Now, if we were healthy the whole season and didn't have that COVID issue that went through the whole NBA, then yes, I would say that I'd be extremely disappointed by a first-round exit. And by everything that happened in this season and taking a look at it in totality, the fact that Zach is hobbled to a degree, I can understand. Let me say this. Not that I won't necessarily be disappointed, but I can understand why it may happen considering all those factors.
It's a good way to articulate it. I feel like there's, because we saw them play through so much, is another reason why we expected more, right? The Bulls didn't miss a beat during COVID. Bulls didn't miss a beat during most of their injuries. It's not until later in the season that we've seen them kind of start to, like, the injuries have caught up to them. And that kind of leads into our next topic about maybe they're getting a little gassed at the end of this, you know what I'm saying? But that's going to be the interesting thing to see. Like, I think they've set the expectation, and that's why Bulls fans are so hurt when you see them get dog walked by the Sacramento Kings for a half a game.
For sure. We're going to get into some of those reasons, as Pat just alluded to. But first, I want to talk to you guys about PrizePicks. Are you looking for a daily fantasy option for the NBA? Then you need to try the award-winning app PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a daily fantasy made easy. I love this, and we know you will too. It's easy to use. You pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry, and it's just you versus the projected numbers. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. PrizePicks is safe and offers fast withdrawals. Use the award-winning app on both App Store and Google Play. Here's how to play. So you want to go to prizepicks.com. You want to put in your entry there and make sure you tell them Locked On sent you. Let's go ahead and get into the next topic there. Pat, DeMar DeRozan has played tons of minutes this season. And one thing that we're seeing as well, and this is, I brought up this topic because I did a little bit looking into it. DeMar DeRozan is scoring right now in the recent stretch 0.8 points per shot, whereas earlier he was scoring damn near 1.9 points per shot. Are we seeing DeMar DeRozan start slowing down?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's late in the season. I think you're seeing a lot of players be tired, right? Like, and you have to understand with what the Bulls came out with. This is a team that's coming out very different this season on the attack, right? The Bulls got started early. The Bulls have been going hard the entire season. DeMar has had to carry the workload for a lot of what the Bulls want to do. It's understandable to me that he would be in a situation where he gets a little more tired, maybe coming down the stretch of the season, even after an All-Star break. I know a lot of people are going to say, you had the whole All-Star break off, like, you're still tired? I don't know. That is a nonstop party down at All-Star break. So, like, that is not a night. That's a night of relaxation, but it ain't off. But yeah, I think it's normal to say players are tired. Is it something you like to see? No. And I think you have to look at the fact that it's because of Zach LaVine has had to take a step back because of his knee. Lonzo Ball hasn't been there. Alex Caruso just coming back, starting to work his way back in. I think that you'll see them be a lot better, right? And you'll see more nights where DeMar can take the night, not so much take the night off, but get that rest night where he doesn't have to go as hard for the Bulls to get a win, but he hasn't had that.
Yeah. And
when you have an entire season where you can't take one night for somebody else to go off, that can be tough on you. Know, that night where you have 22 and 10 and your team wins by 15. You know, where you going through the motions, where you're just playing your game. And I understand, like, you know, the thing with DeMar is, like, it's not that he looks different, it's that it looks a little bit off.
I feel it.
Like, when I see him take his shot, he's taking the same shots that he broke Wilt's record with. He's taking the same one dribble, pull up. Normally that's an easy bucket. It has been all season. Right now, just a little bit off. You going to the bucket just a little bit off, or a little throwing the layup a little bit too high, trying to do a little bit extra to get himself going to finish the same shots he's been making all season. And so I can see it being a tiring thing for him. And on top of that, DeMar's not getting to the free throw line nearly as much as he was early in the season, which could be an adjustment by the refs, which could be an adjustment by the league to say don't give him those same free throws that we were giving him in that ridiculous stretch of time. But that's the one thing about that where DeMar that's the one place where DeMar can get his rest, right? Where I'm gonna go in here, one dribble, pull up, come down, knock down the shot. Now I'm at the free throw line, a couple free throws, take a little breather. Those are the moments where you can see DeMar go for 30 and 40 because he's getting 10, 11 free throws at the line. We're not seeing that lately. DeMar, I think last game had 7. And before that, we've seen him in this stretch get 4 or 5 at a time. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a big difference in DeMar's game as well that we're seeing. But to me, it's just, yeah, sure. He's tired. And the thing that we have to understand is these guys are still human beings, no matter how amazing they are. Like, they're gods on the court. But in retrospect, like, DeMar's a 32-year-old man trying to play basketball. Yeah. Or what is 33? Something like that, you know what I mean? 33-year-old man trying to play basketball. Like, he's going to get a little more tired. And that's where you want to see, right, Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Ayo Dosunmu, those younger guys, Kobe White, step up and say, hey, OG, we got your back. We're going to pick up the scoring load here. We're going to pick up. And I think once you get the full bench back, you'll see that come back a little bit more.
Oh, again, this whole season is completely different if a couple of injuries don't happen to this Bulls team. Like, we're forever gonna, let me not say forever. There's gonna be, I think, a big talking point over the course of the off season for a lot of Bulls creators is what if, right? No matter how anything happens, is what if. But regardless of that, when you have a player that's been in the league as long as DeMar and able to still play the amount of minutes that he has, and you're not really managing that, it's always going to cause some red flags. It's always going to cause some concern. And that's not to say, hey, DeMar's knee's just going to pop out or his back's going to fall off or anything like that. But you do want to try to manage his minutes. I've literally been talking about this since about 15 to 18 games into the season. And I would like to see DeMar's minutes come down to about 33 minutes a game from the 38. Those 5 minutes, cutting that off for a 10-game stretch, that's like taking a whole game off. If you cut off 5 minutes off somebody for 10 games, that's 50 minutes. That's like them getting a whole night's rest.
Yeah.
So you want to see that if you can work that in. Now, yes, you have to have the bench to be able to do that. But let's say Lonzo comes back. Yeah, they've already shown that they're not afraid to move Zach to the 3. I think even Kobe started at the 3 at one point as well.
Yeah.
And so if you can do that and work some of that in to you're going to have players playing out of position. We know that, but we've had that all season long. But I do think you need to get them some rest because we already know lineups shrink in the playoffs. You're already probably going to go down to about 8 or 9 people. And so because of that, you want to try to manage their minutes now where you can. I know Bulls fans, again, what if that means they lose? Sometimes you kind of got to do what you got to do. You got to have your mind on the bigger picture. What do you think there, Pat?
And that's why, let me ask you this, right? Like, so like you just said, if it means you take more of a chance of losing a game, is it worth it to rest these guys sporadically through the next 15 games of the season? Because right now, right, we're still at 4, right? I believe we're still sitting at 4. Nothing changed in the standings. Say there's an opportunity to move up to 3 or to 2. Does that change majorly for us? Does that change our first round matchup majorly for us? Right now, I think we'd still play Boston. And if we move up, we get Cleveland. If we move up past that, we get Toronto. Yeah, right now we play Boston. We get Cleveland or Toronto if we keep moving up. Do you feel like that's an easier matchup? Like, you have to get that because you can beat them in 4. Like, I don't feel like that matchup is here. I don't think the walk through the first round matchup is in the Eastern Conference this season. By the way, Miami, y'all have fun in that first round. Shout out Ringo.
But man, listen, that first round is. Keep in mind, if by chance anything does happen to where Brooklyn is eliminated in the play-in, I cannot wait to see what the NBA does. Slim chances. Let me be clear. It's very slim chances. But if it did happen, Man,
First
I
off,
would
they'd
pay.
have to lose to Toronto, which I
They've
think
done.
they've done with. I don't know if they've done it with Kyrie and KD, but I think they've done it with Kyrie. And then they would have to lose to either Atlanta or Charlotte. Hilarious. But your thought?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. As far as like easier matchup, I think whereas the Boston is probably a 6-game matchup, I think Toronto is a 5-game matchup. Now, is that one game worth it? It just depends. If you're in the stretch and you think that you can do something considerably better by winning one game or by losing one game, all right, that's different. But I think at the end of the day, health is in any of these teams that are below us that we have the chance of facing as of right now in the first round are all going to be tough matchups to a degree. They are all teams that are playing pretty good. So kind of just
Cleveland
health
and
is
Toronto
key
was
there.
the best of a bad situation, if you want to be
Yeah,
honest about the
for
first
sure.
round.
For
Like,
sure.
Cleveland and Toronto is just like they're not as tough. Like I play them a little bit easier. Like that's really what you're talking about.
Definitely.
Before we
Definitely.
get into this last segment, man, we're gonna let y'all know about Built Bar. This time of year, y'all listen, look at me. Normally I would have given up on my New Year's resolution. I'm down in the Oreo cookies at this point, dipping it in the milk. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to be a little bit better, eat a little bit healthier, and thanks to Built Bar, I'm able to do that. It almost feels like I'm not really doing a resolution because I'm actually enjoying eating them. Let me ask y'all this. Have y'all tried the puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. It's the first ever protein infused marshmallow for somebody. Listen, I gets down on the marshmallows. Stop playing with me. Fluffy, they're marshmallow. They're not just a protein bar, they are a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. It really does remind me of a candy bar, but here's the thing. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bars with these. They're better, and a typical candy bar can have anywhere from 2 to 300 calories. Here's the thing. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first and then figure out how to make it healthy. And I don't know how, but they pull it off every single time. Here's the offer for you from Built Bar and from Locked On. Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off all of your orders. Again, use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Let's continue with the show.
And there you have it. Let's move on. Utah, we got them coming up today. As of the listeners listen to this,
You know
how do you
what?
feel about this game, man?
I think the Bulls win. I do. I understand. We
Okay.
just lost to Sacramento. What are you gonna do? Woe is me. We're ready to die. There's been a day in between, right? I think the Bulls win. And I know I sound crazy for that, but here's the thing. I can look at what the Bulls have done in the history versus Sacramento. I don't know if it's the fact that we played them first on the West Coast trip or normally last on the West Coast trip, which statistically by most teams means those are the games you're gonna lose one of them. We just happen to get Sacramento usually in that time span. I think the Bulls beat Utah. We beat them without Nikola Vucevic last time. We've got Caruso in there. And here's the thing. You've now got a pissed off Caruso coming off of a game where he knows you should have won, where the whole team knows you should have won. And you got Caruso and Tristan Thompson in there. And I let them know, dog, what do y'all really want to do this season? Do you want to be a first round exit or do y'all really want to go out here? And you haven't had that. This is the first loss with Caruso back. Even the last time we had Caruso back, now we did lose, but you at least competed in that Milwaukee game. You know what I'm saying? This is a game where you legitimately got your heads kicked in. And even in a loss that you got close, you never felt like you were in control of that game. You never felt like you were the asserter in that game. And so to me, like, this is a game where Caruso, Tristan, they can defensively tell everybody we're locking in, we're not doing anything, we're getting the job done, and that's what it's going to be. And I think that they can. And plus, on top of that, Donovan Mitchell takes the worst shots I've ever seen in my life. Like, dog, I've said this. If his name didn't say Mitchell on the back, you would think it said Westbrook. He takes terrible, excuse me, terrible shots on a consistent basis. Now, does he get the scoring? Is he able to knock down shots if he's open? Yeah, he's still a really good player, but you can force him into some shots where he can absolutely shoot them out of the game. And you know why he takes them? Because Rudy Gobert's down there getting rebounds the entire time. But to me, Vooch is the perfect key. You have to overuse Vooch like a mug in this game. It may not be a good game for Vooch, but I want to see Vooch shoot at a minimum 6 to 7 threes. I know that sounds crazy, but if you do that, Rudy Gobert can't be in the paint. You need Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan driving. I know it sounds crazy, but I want to see Vooch shooting whether he's making them or not, because no matter what, you've got to respect Vooch. He's good enough that if he hits a couple, you have to step out on him. You have to get him going from the three-point line for once, because that pulls Rudy Gobert out of that paint and makes things easier for your two best players to go to work.
Donovan Mitchell. This is what I got to say about Donovan Mitchell. He does take some terrible shots, right? But the thing is that are they going to put IO on Donovan Mitchell? That's the question that I need to see.
I mean, I guess you'd have to, right?
You kind of have to.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, the Bulls don't need to let, because we role players have their career nights against us. Freaking Jordan Clarkson, if he comes in and drops another 30 piece, like what did he drop 40 the other day?
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, bro. Like I'm throwing my hat at somebody. Like somebody got to catch some work. So the Bulls have to come in and they have to be locked in. And I love that you talked about Alex Caruso and Tristan Thompson having this team and asking them, what do you want to be? Because that's what it boils down to. Can you make the necessary defensive stops? And don't let Bogdanovic go off on us either, because he has a potential to do that as well.
Yeah.
This team has to watch what they're going to do. It's going to be interesting to see what Vooch does against somebody who doesn't play historically good against in Rudy Gobert, and also the rebounding battle. If the Bulls can win the rebounding battle, which is going to be it's easier said than done, and they play solid defense, they definitely have enough to beat this team. And one thing about Donovan Mitchell, I know, like at one point, for some reason, he worked up a reputation of being a defender. He can't guard nobody.
Hey, he said, I'm getting these buckets. And
that's Listen, I'm here to score. I'm making damn near $30 million a year. I'm not defending Zach LaVine is 6'6". Y'all want me to defend Zach LaVine? No, I'm not doing. I'm 6'1". I'm going to score. That's what I'm going to do. So if you can, if they can take advantage of those type of mismatches, the Bulls have enough to win this game. I'm not down on them. I do expect them to get this win as well. I expect Tristan Thompson to have a big game in this game. Right now, I'm calling it. Tristan Thompson, by big game, I don't mean he's going to score like 20 points or anything. He's going to have a big game in what he does, but I also think, keep this in mind, we're overdue for a big Kobe White game. Every 5 to 6 games, he has not just a good game, a big game. I'm calling Kobe White to shoot 6 of 9 from three-pointers tomorrow.
Let's see it. I need to see that. And
okay.
You know what? Utah is one of those teams, dog, that is so weird to me. Like, do they really feel like they in it?
No, like never. They never do.
It does not feel to me like Utah's in. And I don't know if that's because of Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if it's just but I really never feel like Utah's really in a position where I'm like, no, that's a great team out west. Like I feel like Denver's a better team than Utah is. Utah has better players. To me, like all the way around, just because of health and stuff like that. But I feel like Denver's a better team because they have a offensive identity in one of their players in Jokic. Like it's like you said, like Donovan Mitchell shooting that mug. That's all he got for you. He coming out there, he's gonna put these shots up, he's gonna get to the bucket, he's gonna drop some points. He's not stopping nobody on the other side. And to me, I think that he's one of the players to me that makes the biggest difference, right? Because if you can get into him, like this might be a game, right? Let me ask you this. Is this a game where maybe you swap Io for Caruso in the starting lineup? Not to say I want to see it long term, but just to have that body able to attack Caruso immediately and attack Donovan immediately, and you still have Io coming off of the bench for Clarkson if you need him, or would you rather see the other matchup the other way around? The regular way.
If Caruso was I know he's healthy, but right, we still don't know if he's still getting gassed. I would easily say yes, and
Yeah.
especially in a matchup like this. But because of that, I think you still start Io, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. And then also Caruso and just that communication that he brings, I think is needed in the starting lineup until we get Lonzo back. So I would love to see what you're talking about. I just don't know if we do because Caruso's still kind of getting his legs under.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I feel that. I just thought about, like, I'm like, there's so much you can play with defensively now. Like, even to me, right? Like, Zach LaVine dealing with the knee injury. I know it
Mhm.
sounds crazy, y'all. But even if you brought Caruso in the starting and Zach off of the bench, like, just to give them that little bit of rest, just
Yeah.
to give them, just to change things up a little bit so that you have that defensive lineup, or even just a Tristan in the starting lineup again. We saw them experiment with that, and we really haven't seen them go back to that. They went to it when there was the bigger matchups and stuff like
Yeah.
that, the more big guys in the lineup. So, like, I feel like and I think Billy's found a really good defensive lineup. That lineup where you see Io, Caruso, Tristan, who else was out there? Derrick Jones Jr. and Javante. I
Yeah.
really liked that lineup. It's a little bit small, but you've got your size on the back end, and you've got so much wing length. I think Javante gets swapped out with P. Will when he gets heavy. I really think that's
Boy, that's the lineup.
I think that's going to be
That's
our defensive lineup going into the playoffs.
that lineup
That's
potentially can just be
oh,
bananas, man.
dogs, man. So that's
Mm,
one thing to me that I want to see the Bulls do more. They got down so much, you really couldn't even do it because you
Yeah.
needed so much scoring versus Sacramento. But that game versus Cleveland, when I saw that lineup out there, I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
That's the lineup I want to see.
Yeah. Facts. I mean, we'll see it all today as people are listening to this, and I pray that I'm staying up for another West Coast game that we have a better result because I'm telling you, I was dead. And luckily it's an hour earlier start because I was dead man
What is
walking,
it?
my
It's
brother.
8:00. It's 9:00 for you
It's a
still.
9 o'clock my time, 8 o'clock yours. So
Yeah, 8:00 start. All right, cool. All
yeah,
right,
see,
cool.
that's not bad, right? That's
Yeah,
the eight
I'm
o'clock
cool. I'm
start. Ain't
cool on that.
that
Yeah, I'm
bad?
cool on that. All right, cool. I'll take that. I'll
But that
take
is it. That's it from us today, guys. Make sure down below, let us know for those watching on YouTube, what do you think? What are some of your expectations of the Bulls facing off against Utah today? But otherwise, Pat, give them your social media. Let's get up out of here.
Hey, man, y'all can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer, man. Follow me on Twitter, especially on Twitter, man, because Twitter is the most fun social media in the world. Follow me on Instagram, everywhere at Pat the Designer, and then follow us both on all the socials at Locked On Bulls.
Absolutely. If you want to follow me, you can do so at CEO Haize. That's CEOHAIZE. And we will see you, lovely and beautiful people, tomorrow. Peace.
Y'all stay safe out there, man.